Apple has just announced a special event on the 4th of March, and there are about 8 new Apple products to expect. But before we talk about more Apple news, check out Tranquil Terrain by Chatham, our latest wallpaper spec. Each design is super minimalist and clean to make any device shine, whether that's your phone, tablet, or desktop. And if you're looking for a more abstract premium design that makes any device look pro, then check out Chromatic Capsules by Artifacts, one of my favorite packs ever. You can find both packs and so much more in wallpapers for iOS and Android by using the links below. Okay, so first off, we have the rumored M5 MacBook Air. Now, the M4 MacBook Air that is expected to replace isn't even 1 year old yet, since Apple usually refreshes these in March. So we got the M3 in March of 2024, the M4 in March of 2025, and now potentially the M5 in March of 2026. As according to Mark Gurman, we should see the M5 MacBook Air in the first quarter of 2026, with the same starting price of $999. As for the upgrades, we'll get the M5 chip, of course, which is around a 15% upgrade over the M4 when it comes to the single-core performance, 16% better in multi-core, and around 18% faster in the GPU department when running Blender. As for the neural engine performance, we should see around an 18% improvement here as well over the M4, at least based on our tests running Topaz Video AI and upscaling a 720p clip to 4K. This performance uplift in AI tasks actually comes from the new neural accelerators that have been integrated into every single GPU core. So we've got 10 GPU cores in the M5 chip. Although because this is a MacBook Air, I'm thinking the base model could only come with 8 instead, just like the M4 version did. And given that the M5 chip is also more efficient, we may see improved battery life as well. Fun fact, the 13-inch M4 MacBook Air actually came with a slightly larger 53.8 watt-hour battery when compared to the M3 and the M2 before it, both of which came in at 52.6. So who knows, maybe Apple could surprise us with a physically larger battery as well. But aside from this, we don't really expect any other major changes. Maybe we'll see the faster SSD speeds that came with the M5 MacBook Pro, but that's about it. And I also don't think that Apple will be adding Wi-Fi 7 or Bluetooth 6 to the MacBook Air, especially since the new M5 MacBook Pro lacks these as well, and it's limited to Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.3. Speaking of the M5 MacBook Pro, we still don't have the M5 Pro and the M5 Max variants. However, these are expected as soon as March the 2nd, according to Mark Gurman. However, this report was before the official Apple event invite, so my guess is that March the 4th is when we'll see all of these new MacBooks be introduced, including the new MacBook Pros. So what's new with these MacBook Pros aside from the higher-end chips? Well, not much really. In fact, this could just be a simple chip swap with nothing more to it, as Apple is likely keeping most of the exciting upgrades such as OLED, the touchscreen support, 5G connectivity, and more for the big 2026 redesign that's coming at the end of the year. Although the M5 Pro and the M5 Max versions should come with some major performance upgrades, especially when it comes to AI workloads, like we've seen from the base M5 chip as well as in the GPU department. However, if you don't need a MacBook Pro right now, I would probably wait until the end of the year and simply just grab the OLED MacBook Pro instead, which is rumored to also feature the even more powerful M6 Pro and M6 Max chips. Speaking of chip-only upgrades, we have the rumored next-generation iPad Air, powered by the M4 chip, just like the previous gen iPad Pro. And other than the upgraded chip, we may also see Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 6 from the M1 chip, just like the newest iPad Pro M5, and possibly even the C1X modem as well. Pricing is also probably going to remain the same at $599 for the 11-inch and $799 for the 13-inch. So yeah, no OLED display, no 120Hz promotion, nothing like that. I get the lack of OLED, but I'm still a bit disappointed that Apple is still limiting promotion to the iPad Pro lineup. They recently brought it to the first non-Pro iPhone, the iPhone 17, and then also the iPhone Air. So I was really hoping that we would see promotion on the iPad Air as well, but at least based on all the recent leaks and rumors, that doesn't seem like it would be the case. That is why I highly recommend everyone who's looking at purchasing an iPad Air looking at a refurbished iPad Pros instead. Apple still hasn't put the M4 iPad Pro on the refurbished store yet for whatever reason, which is quite odd. But the M2 version is out there, and you can grab it for around the same price as a brand new iPad Air. Sure, it won't have the M4 chip, only the M2, but you are getting a much better display that's 120Hz and even mini LED if you go with the 13-inch version. Plus, you also get Face ID as opposed to Touch ID, which I think is another major advantage here. Speaking of iPads that are only receiving a spec bump, we have the A18 base iPad, which I'm guessing would be using the same A18 chip as the iPhone 16e, so a slightly underclocked version and with only 4 GPU cores instead of 5. That's because the current A16 chip inside the base iPad right now is also binned with a 4-core GPU instead of the 5-core that's inside the iPhone 15. However, the A18 chip would also allow it to support Apple Intelligence, as the built-in 8GB of RAM up from 6 would enable this, plus multitasking would automatically get better thanks to the extra RAM as well. Same starting price of $349 too, and I guess that's about it. However, if you don't care about Apple Intelligence and you just want like the most affordable iPad you can buy for just browsing the web, you can actually find the current base iPad, the 11th gen version, for around $280, which is a killer deal. So do go for that if you don't need Apple Intelligence or the extra performance of the upcoming A18 model. And I'm honestly hoping that this new iPad finally gets rid of the non-laminated display, which honestly makes it look and feel so outdated. But unfortunately, there haven't been any leaks suggesting that Apple's getting rid of it. Sure, the non-laminated screen does help keep the cost down and also makes repairs easier, especially since these iPads are often used by kids, but I still think it's about time that Apple moved away from it, since they actually removed it first from the iPad Air 2, which launched in 2014, only to bring it back on this very base iPad. And speaking of the A18 chip, we also have the A18 Pro budget MacBook coming as well. This is set to be coming in March 2 at around $649, which would make it an insane deal for the money. We'll actually have a dedicated video on this coming very soon, so make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. But long story short, this is set to be a super affordable MacBook that would also come in some very vibrant colors and feature the A18 Pro chip instead of an M series chip. Oh, and by the way, if you take a closer look at the invite, the logo is made out of 3 colors: light yellow, light green, and blue, which are exactly the same colors that are set to be used in this A18 Pro low-end MacBook, according to Mark Gurman. But yeah, I don't want to spoil our upcoming video any further, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel to see it first. Okay, now according to Mark Gurman, we should also see the next generation of Studio Display being launched in the first half of 2026, so possibly around March or April. It may come with either a 90Hz or a 120Hz panel, mini LED as well, and an upgraded chip, the A19 up from the A13 that Apple's been using ever since. We've also seen some reports that this upcoming Studio Display 2 may have been spotted in a Chinese regulatory database, which was showing an unknown Apple monitor with a model number A3350, likely the next generation Studio Display or the Pro Display XDR. Now, the filing does confirm that this monitor does have an LCD display, so we know it's definitely not an OLED. But the good news is that it could still be mini LED, which is still technically LCD. Interestingly enough, the current Studio Display appeared in the same database about 2 to 3 months before its launch, so this could be a strong hint towards the new model. Now, according to Mark Gurman, there could be 2 versions of the Studio Display in the works, codenamed J427 and J527. Why couldn't this be a Pro Display XDR instead? Well, it's because of the 27 ending that refers to 27 inches. So perhaps one would have a nanotexture display or some other feature that would set it apart. Or who knows, maybe one's the VESA-mounted version that doesn't come with a stand included. Now, we could also be seeing the iPhone 17e launch any moment now, as according to Mark Gurman, its release is imminent. We've actually made a full video on what to expect from the iPhone 17e right here, covering everything from the design, the display, the camera, and all the other changes, so you can check it out right here. But there's a strong possibility that we'll see this even before Apple's March event. And finally, we may also see the new Mac Mini and the Mac Studio coming soon, either in March or in May or June around WWDC time. In that case, we'll get the M5 Mac Mini, the M5 Pro Mac Mini, as well as 2 versions of the Mac Studio, the M5 Max and the M5 Ultra. I'm especially excited for the Ultra because we all know the M3 Ultra is currently one of the best computers you can get for AI work, for that 512GB of unified memory. Aside from this, we may also see the long-awaited and rumored Home Hub that would technically be kind of like an iPad mini attached to a HomePod speaker that would act as your, well, home hub. It is rumored to have a built-in Face ID camera and would automatically sense when someone has entered the room and then adjust itself based on that. And while it's not going to have an app store according to the rumors, it is said to be running a couple of Apple-specific apps like Apple Music, Notes, Calendar, Photos, and of course, Apple Home. And we may also see a security camera joining in and a potential doorbell camera with Face ID, but yeah, we haven't heard anything about these in quite some time now. So there you go, everything that we are expecting to see from Apple in March or before March. Let me know which one of these products are you excited for the most, and definitely check out our app wallpapers for some awesome designs for your iPhone, iPad, Mac, and more. I'm Daniel, this is ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.